All right, we're coming fresh off another 4-in-1 day. My 5 premium sports picks on Pt.2 yesterday. And that's going to put us at 8-2 in our last 10 premium sports picks on that website. $1,000 bettors are up over $5,200 during that span. We also improved to 4-0 in our last 4 board member tier package picks on that very same webpage. And the link for today's board member tier package pick is in the description section below. $1,000 bettors are also up over $3,600 during that span as well. Now guys, the board member tier is an all-inclusive package that I offer on my website. And not only do you get access to my board member tier package pick itself, you also get access to every single pick that I give out on that webpage all the way through the end of February. Now, if you're not signed up on that website, or, well, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, I'm going to explain a little bit more about it in just a moment. But before we go ahead and move on here, guys, just want to take another quick time out and welcome you to the video. My name is Brock Page, and I do sports picks for free right here on YouTube. I also sell my personal sports bets on my website at brockpage.com. And I have packages on that website beginning at just $1.99. Now, the purpose of these YouTube videos is to provide free informational sports betting content, and it's also designed to generate interest in signing up for a membership on my website. Now, you may be wondering what the difference is between what I do here on YouTube and what I do on my website. Well, what I do here on YouTube is I'll handicap the entire slate of games in any given sport side in total, or most of the games at least. And what I do on my website is, well, I actually share with you which one of these free YouTube picks on my channel that I'm actually betting on personally. And with that, guys, let's go ahead and dive into our part 2 video here today. We're going to start off with Nebraska taking on Northwestern, and that's going to be an 8 o'clock Eastern start time on Tuesday, February 22nd, 2022. It's Tuesday, 2/22/22. Happy Tuesday. Tuesday. Anyway, Northwestern's -11, totals 148.5. And I'll tell you what, even though this is a really large number, well, the Wildcats have been pretty much covering machines here over the past couple of weeks or so. They're 6-2 against the spread in their last 8 ball games. And they're also playing some really tough defense at home this year. As a matter of fact, Northwestern's allowing only 64 points a game at the Welsh Ryan Arena. They're also holding their opponents to just 39% shooting from the field there. Now, when it comes to the scoring in this one, Boo Booey's averaging 15 points a game, along with 2 boards and 4.5 assists. Meanwhile, Pete Nance is making over 41% of his three-pointers. He's also scoring 14 points a game. And in addition to having a winning record at home, Northwestern's scoring 74 points a game offensively. Now, they're taking on a Nebraska team who gives up an absurd amount of points when traveling. These guys are allowing 90 points a game this year on the road, and they've also gone 0-7 straight up in those road games. Really no surprise there. If you're giving up that many points, you're not going to win many ball games, if any, in their case. But anyway, the Cornhuskers have been amongst the worst in Division I in defensive rebounds away from home. When it comes to the win-loss record, well, Nebraska's gotten just 2 wins since November 27th of 2021. Now, total-wise, 5 out of Nebraska's last 7 road games got over the posted number. They're also 70% to the over in their last 10 outings at any location. Meanwhile, Northwestern has seen overs recently with Minnesota, Rutgers, and this very Nebraska team. I'm going to lean toward Northwestern -11. in the over 148.5. Next contest, it is going to be Oklahoma versus Texas Tech. And that's going to be an 8 o'clock Eastern start time. Texas Tech is -9.5 with the total at 130. Now, Texas Tech's been unbeatable at home here this season. They're 16-0 straight up in front of their home fans. And they're amongst the best in the country in defensive rebounding. As a matter of fact, the Red Raiders are in the top 5 in defensive boards at home. They're allowing only 59 points a game in the United Supermarkets Arena. Now, scoring-wise, Bryson Williams is averaging over 13.5 points a game, along with 4 rebounds and 45% shooting from three land. Meanwhile, Terrence Shannon scoring over 11 points per contest himself, along with 2 rebounds. Now, the Red Raiders are averaging over 81 points a game at home. They're also in the top 10 in the nation in shooting from the field at home as well. They're taking on an Oklahoma team who lost 7 of 9 on the road this season, and they've garnered only 2 victories since January 8th. Now, the Sooners' biggest problem is their offensive production. These guys are scoring only 66 points a game on the road, and they're shooting just 30% from three land in that same category. Now, total-wise, 9 out of OU's last 13 away from home did get over the posted number. Meanwhile, Texas Tech is 10-6 of the over on their home court this year. I'm going to lean toward Texas Tech minus 9.5 in the over 130. Next matchup, it is going to be Miami versus Pitt, 8 o'clock Eastern start time. Miami's minus 4 with the total at 136.5. Now, the Hurricanes won 3 out of their last 4 ball games, and they've really had the Panthers' number in recent meetings. The Canes are 8-2 straight up in their last 10 contests against Pitt. And they covered the point spread in 70% of those ball games. Now, when it comes to defensive play in this one, the Canes held Pitt to just 60 points per contest during that stretch. When it comes to the scoring in this one, Cameron McGusty, he's averaging over 17.5 points per contest, along with 5 rebounds and a couple assists. Meanwhile, Isaiah Wong is scoring over 15.5 points per contest himself, along with 4 rebounds and a couple assists. Now, when it comes to shooting the basketball, Miami's in the top 25 in road offensive field goal percentage. They're taking on a Pitt team who's got a losing record at home, and they actually have some of the worst offensive efficiency in the country. As a matter of fact, the Panthers are scoring only 62 points per contest, and they're making only 28% of their three-pointers at home. Now, total-wise, 7 out of these teams' last 10 meetings fell under the posted number. Meanwhile, Pitt's gone 60% to the under in their last 10. Miami, on the other side of things, they saw 6 out of their last 10 outings fall under the posted total themselves. I'm going to lean toward Miami minus 4 and the under 136.5. All right, next contest I have for you, a little Big East action. I'm talking about Villanova versus UConn. That's going to be an 8 o'clock Eastern start time. UConn's minus 2 with the total at 138. Now, the Huskies certainly have a big test going up against the Wildcats here tonight. Having said that, though, UConn's been really tough to beat at home this season. They're 12-2 straight up at the XL Center, and they're actually scoring over 80 points a game there. RJ Cole, he's averaging over 16 points a game, along with 3 rebounds and 4 assists. Meanwhile, Tyrese Martin, he's making 43% of his three-pointers. He's also averaging 13 points a game. Now, when it comes to rebounding in this one, the Huskies are in the top 10 in offensive boards per contest. When it comes to defensive play, UConn allows only 64 points a game at home, and they rank in the top 20 in defensive field goal percentage. Now, they're taking on a Villanova team who failed to cover the number in 3 out of their last 4. As a matter of fact, out of Nova's last 10 outings, they've actually covered the point spread in only 30% of those contests. Now, Villanova's, they really haven't been shooting the basketball all that great when traveling this year. They're actually making just 41% of their field goals, and they're drilling only 31% of their three-pointers as well. And I'll tell you this much, kind of a quirky stat here, but when they put their competition to the foul line, their opponents are actually making 78% of their free throws from the stripe. So definitely a quirky trend. Not sure if it's applicable in this spot, but I'll tell you what, if they're going to foul UConn, UConn's got a pretty good probability of making those foul shots. But anyway, total-wise, Nova's 5-1 to the over in their last 6 ball games. They're also 62% to the over as the official road team. Meanwhile, UConn saw overs recently with Xavier, Marquette, and this very Villanova team. I'm going to lean toward UConn minus 2 in the over 138. Next ball game, it is going to be Alabama versus Vanderbilt. And that's going to be a 9 o'clock Eastern tip-off. Alabama's -4.5 on the road, totals 153. And although the Crimson Tide scored a whole bunch of points this season, they've really let their defensive play go by the wayside. The Tide's allowing 83 points a game on the road this year, and they're winning just 25% of their away games. Now, they're taking on a Vandy team who successfully covered in their last 6 straight, and they've actually played some pretty tight defense at home. Now, the Commodores are allowing only 64 points a game in front of their home fans, and they're limiting their competition to just 29% shooting from three-land there. When it comes to the scoring in this one, Scottie Pippen Jr. is averaging 19.5 points per contest, along with 3 boards and 3 assists. Meanwhile, Miles Stute is making nearly 44% of his three-pointers this year. Now, Vanderbilt's got themselves a .600 win percentage in their own building. When it comes to the total in this one, Vanderbilt saw their last 7 straight ball games all get over the posted number. They're also 60% to the over in their last 10 against Alabama, so if you're into historical trends, you certainly want to think about that one there. Meanwhile, the Crimson Tide, on the other side of things, they are officially 7-1 to the over in their last 8 on the road. I'm going to lean toward Vanderbilt +4.5 in the over 153. Next matchup, it is going to be Fresno State versus Air Force, and that's going to be a 9 o'clock Eastern tip-off. Fresno State's -7 on the road, totals 117.5. And I'll tell you what, as bad as Air Force has been recently, well, I actually think this may be a lofty number for Fresno State to cover. The Bulldogs lost their last 4 straight, and they also failed to cover in 7 out of their last 9. And speaking of covering the point spread, Fresno's getting the job done against the number in only 40% of their road games this season. And of course, the Bulldogs' biggest problem this year has been their offensive production, or lack thereof. These guys are averaging only 62 points a game on the road, and they're also having a pretty tough time grabbing offensive rebounds when traveling. They're taking on an Air Force squad who's covering in 64% of their home games. They're also allowing 65 points per contest in the Clune Arena, playing some pretty good defense in front of their home fans. Now, scoring-wise, A.J. Walker is averaging 15.5 points a game along with 2 boards. Meanwhile, Jake Heidbreeder is averaging double-digit points a game himself, along with 3 rebounds. When it comes to head-to-head meetings between these two programs here, the Falcons covered in 6 out of their last 10 contests against Fresno. Now, total-wise, Air Force is 64% to the under for the entire season. They also went 6-4 to the under in their last 10 contests against Fresno State. So if you're into historical trends, plenty of unders to go around. Meanwhile, the Bulldogs on the other side of things, ironically, they are 64% to the under for the entire season themselves. I'm going to lean toward Air Force +7 and the under 117.5. Next contest, it is going to be Kansas State versus Kansas, 9 p.m. Eastern tip-off. The Kansas Jayhawks are -12.5, totals 142. Now, the Jayhawks have been pretty dominant against their little brother here in recent meetings. They're 9-1 straight up in their last 10 contests against the Wildcats, and they limited them to just 60 points a game during that span. Now, Kansas is also 12-1 straight up in the Allen Fieldhouse this year, and they're scoring 80 points a game there. Ochai Agbaji is scoring 20 points a game along with 5 boards and 44% shooting from three-land. Meanwhile, Christian Braun is averaging 15 points per contest himself, along with 5 rebounds and a couple assists. Now, when it comes to shooting the basketball in this one, Kansas is in the top 10 in the country in offensive field goal percentage. They're taking on a Kansas State team who has a losing record on the road. And they shot just 38% from the field in their road contests. When it comes to the scoring in this one, well, the Wildcats are averaging only 66 points a game away from home. Now, total-wise, Kansas State is 6-3 to the over this season when traveling. Meanwhile, Kansas, the Jayhawks, they're 8-5 to the over as the official home team. I'm going to lean toward Kansas -12.5 and the over 142. And with that, guys, we're going to jump into our next and final matchup for part 2. It is going to be San Diego State versus Boise State. And that's going to be a 9 o'clock Eastern start time. Boise State is -2 with a total at 120. Now, the Broncos are 21-6 thus far in the season, and they play some of the best defense in the nation. The Broncos are in the top 20 in defensive rebounding, and they're limiting their competition to just 59 points a game. Now, offensively, Abu Kijab is scoring nearly 14 points a game, along with 6 rebounds and a couple assists. Meanwhile, Emmanuel Akot is making over 40% of his shots from beyond the arc. He's also averaging double-digit points a game. Now, they're taking on a San Diego State team who has a losing record on the road, and they've been terrible offensively when traveling. The Aztecs are scoring just 61 points a game away from their home court, and they're actually making only 28% of their three-pointers in that same category. Now, total-wise, 7 out of the Aztecs' last 10 contests away from home fell under the posted number. Meanwhile, Boise State saw unders recently with Utah State, Wyoming, and San Diego State. I'm going to lean toward Boise -2 and the under 120. And with that, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on Pt.2. Now, if you guys do end up getting a membership here today on my website, just keep in mind you're going to get billed the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. So if you do end up getting a membership here today on Pt.2, you are going to get access to that content all the way through the end of February. Although I do tell folks in every single video, the earlier in the month you sign up, the better. And guys, once again, if you want to get access to every single pick that I give out on my website, you're going to want to sign up for my board member tier package. But most importantly, guys, got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. And with that said, guys, happy Tuesday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at Pt.2.